We are, depending on the week, either number one or number two in the industry, and very definitely a major player. I mean, both Spectrum Holobyte and MicroProse, when we were independent companies, were significant players. You put the two together, we're pretty much an unstoppable force.
A historical simulation that is dealing with armored combat set in World War II in Western Europe. So it's in dealing between the U.S. and German forces that took part in that campaign. So it's from just past D-Day, which would be in the early part of July 1944, until the closing stages of the war in the spring of 1945. It is a first-person game. You are the individual in the tank commanding from that point of view as a battalion, as a company, or as a platoon commander, depending on the level of command you have. But it is a first-person perspective. We have both a map, which is a traditional top-down view, but we also have the first-person view, which is looking out of the tank itself. So that separates the simulation from the typical top-down war game situation. The more common units on the U.S. side would be the Sherman and many variants of that. Stuart tanks, Chafees, Pershings, the tank destroyers, the Hellcat, Jacksons. On the German side, you have the Tigers, Panthers, the Mark IV, the assault guns, the tank destroyers, Jag Tiger, Jag Panther, those types. We had a documentary made for this product that's a standard hour length, making it about 40 minutes for television documentary. And it pretty much matches the product itself in that it covers the same time period that is covered in the simulation. And we're including that in with Across the Rhine as a bonus value added. And it's a very nice documentary, and I think the consumers will enjoy that.
It's basically go-kart racing without any power-ups or oil slicks or missiles or anything like that. It's basically what you'd be doing if you had gone out and purchased a little go-kart and taken it up to a track on the weekend.
Scott has written all our basic drivers for the last 8 years for MicroProse. He was doing the next 3D driver, and I've been doing a lot of the worlds and stuff from way back. So we were getting a little sick of planes. And so I said, well, okay, we went to the kart place, had fun. This weekend, I'll build you a 3D kart, and why don't you mess around with that instead of an airplane? And we started doing it, and people kept coming in and saying, gee, it looks like fun. And we started having fun. And then we met the guys who do racing karts and kind of course, threw away everything I did to start over.
You can choose between an individual race or a championship season. You can test out the track, you can qualify your car, and then you can race. So you can pretty much do whatever you want to do. If you want to jump in at the hardest level and start championship season, you can do that. If you just want to drive around your favorite track, you can do that.
Part of the concept of this game was to be a fun, fast little game, and Windows is kind of going with that. We wanted it not to be a big racing sim, something someone could sit down, play for a while, and end. And then the higher levels put enough depth if someone really wants to get down and play for a long time, they can. We started off with the concession carts, like Scott said, and we realized, we started talking to the real racers, that these things do like 100 miles an hour, and they're real exciting. And they have different levels, and the higher level is a little like NASCAR. You got to pick your gears, your stuff. And the lower level, you just jump in and you steer them. And in fact, they don't even lift or put the brake on the corners. They take the corners at full speed. So it's just like, it's basically like, you know, it was ideal for a Windows fun little game.
Developing a game like this is very complex. And effectively what we've done is we've divided it into two component parts. We have developed the front end of the game, the portion of the game that will actually be loaded onto your computer, held on the CD-ROM in your CD-ROM drive. What Simutronics is doing is they're managing the back end, the server where in fact the game will be played. You'd be interested in the computer version, I think, because while the game is tremendously fun, I mean basically it's combat. It's one-on-one combat using both earthly and magical powers. But as you know, as anyone who is involved in combat knows, it can be difficult and complex. You've got to understand the rules. There are 1,000 different cards. Each of these cards has different powers, and when the cards interact during the course of the game, they have an effect on each other, to the point where in fact the rules of the game can actually be changed by playing an individual card. The advantage of playing online is that the computer takes care of all the rules and all the scoring for you, so that you can concentrate just on enjoying yourself.
Putting Magic the Gathering into the computer was a natural fit, because Magic the Gathering has so many rules that are fairly complex. And the whole game is about changing the rules of the game and interpreting how the cards work and so forth. The computer offloads a lot of that responsibility from the players and allows them to concentrate on, which cards to play at what time, instead of, whether or not they've got enough points of mana to do something. It takes a lot of the details out of the way of the player. It also helps interpret some of the more arcane rules. Time is like a commodity that people don't have a lot of, to spare. With the computer or the online version, they're able to sit down anytime they want to, anytime they've got a free hour or two, and get online and find somebody else who wants to play Magic or trade or talk about strategies or anything they want to do. The artwork for Magic is stunning. I don't think that I've seen a product that has better artwork than Magic. We've got 1,000 high-res pieces of artwork, 640 by 480 resolution, 256 colors. It's just stunning. All of the original artwork from the Magic the Gathering card game, and we've done a significant amount of additional artwork. It's going to be a beautiful game.
This is pretty much an upgrade of last year's game. We took a lot of the features that people wanted added to last year's game and added those, and some of the little things about it that people didn't like we changed up to hopefully make it more user-friendly. We've changed the passing game in the action mode. People felt it was too hard. Before we had it where you could move the cursor around the field and throw the ball right at the cursor, and now we just have you select a receiver and throw to that receiver. To get the simulation right, it's a real pain. You want the game to simulate football realistically, but at the same time you want it to react to a person who doesn't play realistically. So that makes action mode very difficult. It also makes your AI difficult to not just try to figure out how to defend a person that's doing something intelligent, but how to defend someone who's doing something totally bizarre.
The old game used to kind of run the user. It told you what to do next, the next thing happened, and the game would just stop in the middle while it waited for you to do things. And when you have other people playing, you can't make them wait for you to finish what you're doing. And so, therefore, we had to redesign the game slightly and make it more responsive to everyone at the same time. So a lot of the windows that used to pop up for just a second now can pop up and they stay. For instance, the city window has been redesigned. You can look at any city at any time. It can stay visible. You can watch it. You can do updates while other people are moving. You also have the option of opening several map windows at once, and currently you can tell it to watch a particular army. You can say, I'm really worried about the Aztecs over there, so tell me anything that I can see them do. I want this map to follow them. So as soon as you've met anyone, you can talk to them at any time. AIs as well. And the AIs still work the same way. They basically run the show. They tell you what they want to do, and you can accept or deny. But between humans, all bets are off. You can chat, you can send taunts, you can trade knowledge, anything. I actually think that because there will be another human at the other end, people are they're going to be changing the way they play the game a lot. And there are going to be a lot of secret alliances against powerful players, and that's really going to be a focus of the game in the